But what the teacher goes further and he says that there were like browser histories for porn sites on the phone. So I was showing the other kids porn. I was like, what is browser history, first of all? I'm just a kid. I don't know anything about that. And then I became the class 8 kid who's watching porn with the whole class. But I go back to class and I'm like, the guy who brought porn to school. So I was the G.
The G. The plug.
Yeah, that's how it has. And you see how you can turn something negative into positive.
Artist, painter, rapper, stealer of people's wives. The thief himself.
Yeah.
Art is stolen. It's never really created. It's stolen. In studio we have KWB. Niaje bro, karibu sana. Karibu sana. Last time you featured on nani?
Sogalo.
You featured on Sogalo's podcast. Here ndo labda people don't know. So we can start off with the name KWB.
KWB, that's me in the initials, because real G's tuna represent for the realest huku ni Caleb Baraka Wekola. So ikakuwa hip hop nikajiuliza what name? Just my name. Initials KWB.
It's Caleb with a K.
Yeah, that's it. So
like originally it was Caleb with a K and then you switched it.
It was with a C.
With a C. So umego Mortal Kombat style.
Mortal Kombat.
So like Mortal Kombat, it's supposed to be MC. But Mortal Kombat, they went against it and they put a K. It became Mortal Kombat. It's actually a distinguishing feature.
Yeah.
So like currently, what's your main focus? There's something you're working on specifically. Is it the rap? Is it the drawing? Or you just switch from one thing to the next? Because you're painting, you're drawing, rap. You're rapping, and you're extracurricular, you're stealing people's wives.
In my defense, they didn't have their rings.
Yeah. So, okay, which one is the main focus?
Okay, a question I've been asking myself for a very long time. Ni what to drop and what to follow. Kama hiyo unasikianga, a lot of people would tell you that you have to be a master at one thing. But if you be a jack of all trades, you won't be a master of any. But utasikia nikisema a lot, Robert Greene. I read about his books in mastery. The direction we can take as creatives right now is supposed to be on a wider scope. Ukiangalia kina Leonardo da Vinci had so many skills in
they were polymaths. They would do a lot of stuff.
Sababu ilikuwa practical, ndio akifanya a final piece imekuwa so much bigger than just the one mastery. Sani hivyo ndo nikaamulia it's a journey of trying to master different elements, all of them.
I think the quote from the book, because I've read the book also, like shall I even have a copy? It's the future belongs to those who can master more discipline and combine them in creative ways. I've tried to get as much of it as possible the way it is, but I think you can also put it in the show notes exactly in the which one it is. But it's true, because the modern day artist, you're not only confined to actually be doing one thing. You should be like kind of, that jack of all trades. You should be aware of this and that and the other. So that kind of helps you in your development of your work.
Exactly, yeah. So it's very funny how the concepts like merge from different sides. Like for example, I'd be rapping and I write some poetry. Then I find a philosophical understanding of what I was stuck on when I was drawing. Like zina sip into each other ni amazing. It's just crazy. For example, the photography, the videography, and the painting. Ukiangalia is basically the same realms in terms of composition, color, lighting. Ni just the
tools.
Ni tools ndo zina change na the process. But ukiangalia, so the mentality inakuwa the same. Una apply the same mentality kwa different elements na inakujanga kwa different times. Nika ukichoka na photography, you do a little video. Ukikuwa stuck by video, unafanya a little animation. But ukiangalia in the end, uko kwa the same genre, yeah?
Yeah, because I always feel like I always have that problem personally with what I'm doing. Because you're doing video, you're doing photography, you are involving a lot of collaborations with other people who can probably do something you cannot do, like a hairstylist. Because even in the concept you're trying to pull through, there's always a story you're trying to tell. Isn't that the core of everything? As in, isn't an artist now like basically just a storyteller and is just using different mediums?
That's exactly what I call myself. Storyteller, because ukiangalia it's just tools. All these things are tools. And what you're trying to do is to tell the world what you are, your viewpoint. That core that unasema, you're unique, you're different from other people. So ukikuwa an arsenal of different medium, you have a better chance of explaining what that is. Explaining the soul. You can't explain the soul in words.
Okay.
So need depth.
It's like just saying something in your own words.
Yeah, exactly.
Just saying something in your own words, but now probably you've just taken up something like poetry to do it, which is self-explanatory because it's words.
Yeah.
But still, it's not. You're not stating out facts as if you're stating out kilometers and kilograms. You're finding a creative way of doing it. It's almost like you could dig out a potato from the ground and eat it raw. It will still go into your body.
Yeah.
Or you could peel it and make French fries.
Exactly.
So art is that process of making French fries.
Yeah.
Exactly. So kwa kitu kama hiyo, do you feel the same process ukiendelea ku create? And these French fries are sponsored by Kalanj Kitchen.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, I agree completely.
You're saying that you're just using these tools to develop something. So, for instance, is there like a real life situation you've seen this process coming through? Like there's something you're working on and the training in so many mediums just formed to give you something?
I would say most of my recent work zina work hivyo. Like I started out my journey as an artist. Lakini ilianza kitambo. Not actually an artist, let me say photography. My professional journey started as a photographer. So I struggled with a lot of concepts in terms of like kurada composition the first time. It takes a while. You practice, think about it, but it takes
it becomes in your step.
Yeah. So vile more medium have come in, like film and animation, for example. I'm working on my drawing so I can do animations. The whole concept just makes sense. It clicks because you're seeing the same thing in a completely different perspective.
Yeah, because I think I experienced the same thing because even with the animation, it got to a point I didn't even really care how good the animations were as long as the kind of the story made sense and the conversation was funny.
Yeah.
Okay, why else is somebody going there to watch and to do? You've been in animation for a while now. As in, is it something you've picked up recently, or you've been doing it for a while?
I would say the technical part, I'm new to it, but the concept. What has made me get into animation is my little brother. Tropiga story ananiambia. He says that you've got to do animations because the characters and the stories I tell and create, the dynamic and exciting to him.
They can be executed very well using animation better than if they were used like traditional film. I
wouldn't say that, but it's just because the goofiness of it, it's just animation. I love watching animations, so I think I just emulate that in some aspect of storytelling. So alikuwa, you've got to do animations. So it just came. The stories have always been there. The visuals, it's like how I imagine the world, how I imagine a story, how I'd tell you a scene. it becomes so vivid, especially if you have a good imagination like an artist. It just becomes so clear that ni kama umewatch animation.
It's like you've already watched it,
Yeah.
even before you've made it. You've like replayed it in your head, as in you've had the first viewing of it.
Exactly. So you could break down too from there, and inakuja saa into the physical realm through the medium.
Kuna particular animations you kind of like cartoons and stuff.
I love DC Comics.
DC Comics.
All the way DC Comics. Tulikuwa like
dark and edgy.
Yeah. It was crazy. So when we were kids, like class 2, class 3, in like early 2000s, tulikuwa tunatoka shule 4. Na ndo time like cartoon inaanza. Hiyo time like jioni KTN, zilikuwa Superman, Batman, like Justice League. Best of the best na zilikuwa zinashowiwa jioni at 4. But the kids nowadays are missing out. So unakimbia like a madman. Just crazy. Unafika hata usimiss hata like
even a second, even a minute of it. You can't believe yourself missing it. Because it was only 25 minutes.
Unajipata umehepa tinaenda choo, kumbe ulitupa bako. Umetoka 5 minutes before ndo ufike tu enough time. So imekuwa DC Comics. I'm a fanatic like crazy. I tell you, like Batman, Bruce Wayne, Damian, the whole family setup. I can tell you where this guy comes from, where this why he does this. Ilikuwa so crazy. Nikianza ku talk about DC Comics, people like geek.
It's everybody akona line yake. Everybody has their own particular liking, but now that you've mentioned it, thinking about like what you were exposed to when you were younger, it was mostly DC.
Yeah.
Marvel rarely like snuck in here as much as much as expected. It was much later that they came in, but DC has been here for the longest time. For the longest time, especially Batman.
Yeah, kwanza wakumbuka the Justice League original. At the same time Samurai Jack was coming out. Ilikuwa tu just in X-Men, the first one. So ilikuwa crazy. The first thing like I was super exposed to. But I wouldn't say it's the only one, because like your generations, the guys to me gap, like to me jump from the 1990s to me get 2000s when we were kids that time. But cartoons were just cartoons. Old guys liked cartoons, young guys liked cartoons. Hakuwa nati cartoons ni utoto. Ilikuwa like I used to watch cartoons with my dad. My dad was the one who introduced cartoons to us, and with my uncles, my mom. So unapata a very diverse like collection of things to be seen. It's ilikuwa grown up, I'd say.
Yeah, they were pretty mature, kind of. But even today, you can almost say the same thing, because there's a like if you look at animations that like are almost purely used for adults. South Park, Archer. As in you look at them, but it's not what they look like.
It's the content.
It's the content.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. Sometimes you watch those things, they stick in your head. Family Guy, the same. Yeah, it's pretty good. So when it comes to like, you've also been engaging in a lot of like, you took up line art recently.
Yeah.
That's something I found impressive, because I saw your work, I thought it was Sogalo for a moment.
Yeah.
So like, how did this come up?
I used to draw, like I said, when I was a kid, a lot. Since actually I was born, my whole family draws. So I didn't really treat it like something special. But 2018, Afro-Renaissance exhibition, here I meet Sogalo and the gang, Native, and they were doing live art. And I was just stripped, especially by Sogalo. I just watch him draw, and he's just creating some Lineart, how he does. Nikajiambia, I told myself, like, I could do this. I have the capacity to draw. If I practice, I could draw. So that's how it started, Nika. I started hanging out with Native, Sogalo, Swift, the whole gang, Chala, the Afro-Renaissance Collective, and Sogalo some more. Then just slowly, he actually taught me. He walked me through the whole process. ataweza kuambia ilikuwa kazi because it's not something easy to be done just in a day. But I used to practice. When he was doing his 100 days of watercolor, I was doing 100 days of Lineart. Yeah, and he was the teacher right there. No, you can use it. You can be better. And by the way, if you know Sogalo, you'll know that he will definitely try and help you. If you have the capacity, akiona potential, he'll be like, you can imagine. Look at what you can do with this. Then he tries and bring you up. So I actually nilibaki. I stayed for the whole journey, and you have witnessed the
I've seen it. It's pretty
end
impressive.
product.
It's pretty impressive. But now, there's always the problem that, like, probably if you're doing so much, there are only 24 hours in a day. Is it something now you do every day? Do you do every single thing that you do every day, or you have specific days to do this and that? It's more of random. It's like seasons.
Yeah, it's really random. I'd say natural, because if you try and be too mechanical, like we're not robots, utachoka. You have to be like change up sometimes. So I usually just go with what feels right at the time. Like when you get home, you're just like, if I just watch a movie. So what I did, I started doing like 1 hour. Everything that I want to do, like art-wise, I set out to do it for at least 1 hour per day. Because kulikuwa na time sikuwa productive. I was just like every other guy watching movies all day, thinking about people's wives.
People's wives and thinking about the future.
Yeah, but so once you decide that you want to commit to the journey, then you just get motivated. So I decided to do 1 hour time a day per activity. Just found myself like a whole week I can be rapping, like I work on my poetry. Then I just feel like I've hit like a wall on it. Then I just feel like drawing because I'm tired of doing poetry. I do it for like 2 days.
So there's a freedom to doing it.
Yeah,
you're not it's not like double class lesson mathematics in the morning break.
Exactly, yeah.
Then double class English after break. then geography after lunch. It's not that.
Yeah, utachoka, yeah.
It's much of, it's like you're almost like describing a walk in the forest.
Exactly, yeah. You're just blindly going and you're going with the vibe. Because that's how it's supposed to be. It's like you're tapping into your subconscious. It's your subconscious that's telling you what to do rather than you telling it what to do. Because I usually think about this a lot, the consciousness, the difference between the sub and the conscious. Like the subconscious is way smarter than the conscious mind. The subconscious is so smart it can trick the conscious mind. That's why I say, like, you should be careful what you feed your subconscious, because it comes back and emulates in a way that you might not have control over as the conscious. So letting the subconscious like do the drive. But I consider myself the luckiest guy, because I feel like I stumble upon most of these things. Like ata kadi tulipatana random, but look where we are here. So things like that inakwanga. We did not know that first time we met at Sogalo's place that we'd be friends or we'd be meeting again, but we were just talking. Yeah. And what we liked is presented by our subconscious. So if you just follow and trust, like this feels okay. I like this. I want to continue doing this. Just you end up going to the right place.
Because it's almost like a human being writing a letter to a monkey, telling it where the bananas are hidden. Okay? Yeah. So all the information is in the letter, but the monkey cannot understand it. So it's almost like the subconscious kind of works. It has to go around it. Yeah. It has to throw bananas as a trail.
Exactly.
All the way to where they are.
That's a good analogy.
Where they are stored. Because I'm not going to communicate with this monkey.
Yeah. That's how it works. And how does the subconscious throw us like little puzzles to follow? Through feelings and emotions and like vibes and all that. The zone. Any artist, any creative would tell you that times you get into the zone. You don't even like you don't know time is flying. You're just creating.
I know that thing. I know that feeling.
exactly that, and the best feeling ever because you just want to keep going, and then what comes out in the end is just amazingness. You hata unaangalia huko like who made this, the subconscious.
So you're saying you should be careful what you feed it, like in terms of content, in terms of what you consume, like viewership, music, like the conversations you're having, the environment you're exposing yourself to.
Yeah.
So anything that you perceive is kind of imprinting itself.
Yeah. Now, how that shows itself ni the negative energy mostly, like how if you get fed the negative energy. For example, if you're an artist and you're in a professional setting, like guys are some doctors or something, like completely different setting, completely different work ethic, completely different mindsets and everything. So you'd be discriminated as an artist. You're the only outsider in that environment. So the things that they tell you about your art would be mostly negative. And your attitude, your process, like most artists are lazy. They just chill the whole day and like for 1 hour, they're way productive, like a whole month of productivity in 1 hour. Yeah. And then they just like start looking at stars and stuff. So that is not a system that can be accepted by different
because an artist at some point just needs to just do whatever.
Exactly.
He's not like working, but it's almost like he's going up to pick up content. It's like he's feeding his subconscious in some way.
It's like a hippie like mentality. Okay. You're just free and loose. So this negative energy fed by these people stays in your subconscious, and when you're coming back to your zone and you're trying to like you want to create, what it feeds is the negative energy. You don't feel like is this really right? Am I going to make it with this?
But sometimes the people who are doing that are actually, if it's like corporate people in your own family. So like how do you handle that?
It's really funny that we mentioned it. Like Gary V, his post today says that negative people, you stay away from negative people. Even if it's your mother, it's not like that you don't hang with your mom like forever. Like instead of calling her every day, call her once in 2 days. Just reduce the amount, because then it affects you. The negative energy would definitely affect you, brings you down. Like imagine team yenye menda soccer your high school. Coach amewapea psych the teacher ako to like, go do your best, you will have fun, you tutawin leo. Your psyche mnaenda, like you guys scream na high five the motto yo machansi ya shule, then you go play, versus like the teachers like, you're pathetic, you're wasting your time, you should be in class. I don't even know what we're doing here. Hata mkiwin, but you won't have the same energy as the first year. So positive energy versus negative. So in life, if you reduce your negative energy, less stress. That's just how it works. So positive people, positive vibes, your subconscious picks up on that, and that's what it gives it back to you.
But now, that's a part you can control.
Yeah.
Now, let's say there's a part you can control, that you can avoid certain people because you've been around them long enough to know that this is a pattern. But it's not in every situation where you'll be able to escape from that person, or even going away from that person is not possible for an extended period of time. Or it's a work situation where it's probably paying your bills and whatnot, so you cannot eject yourself from that situation at that moment. Is it possible, since you've called it energy, negative energy, for you to convert to use it in a useful way? Because you're in a situation you cannot come out now.
I completely get you. You can since you've seen and you already know, the first step inakuwa hiyo, ukitambua sasa that this is negative energy and I can't get away with it because of circumstance, then your words to change it into positive, and this is how you can do it. You make the best out of every single situation that you're in. You try and do your best, and no matter what is happening or the tough, it's like you're turning a blind eye. It's like being nimejaribu kufikiria like animations watch Black Clover. That's great. So
Sound guy has watched it. He's watched everything.
but that's the perfect example.
Black Clover.
So the concept here animation is that this guy, it's a world of magic. Everyone has magic. That's how everything is done. They plow using magic. They water their plants using magic. They fight using magic. But this is a kid born with no magic in that world. So he's so sad. He just wants to do. I have a little magic. But what he turns he the way he gets through that is by his crazy. He works out. He says that his magic will come one day and he's going to be ready for that day. So he's crazy. Just works out. He compensates with energy and positivity.
Yeah.
So he loses, but he's like, my power is like, I will win, never giving up. That's his superpower. That's his magical power. So if you go through the journey of how that guy survives in that world and to a point where he actually becomes a really powerful and super being, it's just his positivity. So that's how you have to get through that. You just have to you think about why you're there, why that circumstance. For example,
Why you are there.
Yeah. Kamayoni, for a lot of guys have families right now. You have kids to feed.
David Goggins says the same thing. He was a retired Navy SEAL who does extreme sports. Alikuwa anasema he had to go through 3 hell weeks. Hell week, for those who don't know, is a week the Navy SEALs go to weed out any weak students in the program. So it's 5 days of training and harassment without sleep, only 4 hours of sleep. 5 days you don't sleep, and you're being tortured, you're being given exercises, whatever, your body is in bad shape, you're practically dying. So they see what if you are willing to survive. So many people quit. So it starts like 120 to 140 people. By the time it's over, it's 32 people after 5 days. So more people quit than the people who go through. And these are tough soldiers. So he was saying the first time he had to be pulled out because he got pneumonia and he couldn't breathe well. So they don't want to risk somebody dying. So only a doctor can pull you out or you quit. But if a doctor pulls you out,
you can come back.
The second time, he finished it and got to the next class, but he fractured his kneecap. So he couldn't complete the education, the other education that comes after. So he had to be sent home again. So when he came back the third year, they took him back to week 1. So he said that every single time he was in the mud, he was in the freezing temperatures of that training, he would ask himself, why am I here? Why am I here? So it's almost like the same thing you're saying, because he was also talking about the negativity that came around that. Because the trainer, the people who are taking you through the training actually want you to quit because they only want the best of the best. So they're in your face. They're making your life miserable. They're insulting you. They're insulting your mom. And you're tired. You've done like 3,000 push-ups that day. Runs you how many kilometers, swimmings do you where in the ice freezing waters, and you have injuries with no sleep 5 days. So every time he was being taunted, he would go back to, why am I here? I was not dragged here. I came here, I filled in the form, I walked in. Why did I do that? So is it almost like the same process when dealing with negative, because it's not criticism. We're not talking about criticism. Criticism actually helps.
This is like
I'm saying just
destructive energy.
Assholes. It's just assholes.
I get you. I get you.
So like, is it the same process?
Completely the same process. That example is just point on exactly how it is. Because if you look at the mindset of the guys training, they're actually helping the guys who quit. Because in war, these guys are going to be way worse than that. So if you can't survive that, what are you going to Iraq to fight Al-Qaeda for?
Because there is no bell.
Exactly. There's no stopping, and there's no doctor saving you. So if you can't get through that, you won't even like you get it. So it's a very, very, very like.
So it's almost like the same process for artists, because even artists who have all the benefits and all the encouragement, it doesn't particularly mean they're going to produce work that resonates with an audience and become successful. So that's the situation. But now there's a training you go through.
Yeah,
the rejection, the put downs,
trauma, like
the
it's a
trauma,
lot.
the assholes, all these things.
Especially the assholes, it's crazy.
So they're kind of prepping you for the future. They kind of
Yeah.
saying, do you deserve this?
Yeah, it's exactly that. Because if you look at the world, it's a jungle still. It's nature. Human nature has never changed. Guys are still trying to be above. And right now, because we are technology, guys are using their brain more. So in Amansha, wit is what gets you above. It's not the traditional brute strength.
It's what?
And you akili wit. Yeah. So like it's basically trickery, like underhanded methods. So if you can't go through that, especially if you're an artist aspiring to be globally recognized, if you don't go through that in your early stages, for example in Kenya, Nairobi, how do you think you'll fare in New York, in London, in places where these guys are professional con artists? Like people write books about these con artists and the assholes and the way they like manipulate
so
you
it's,
and use
it's basically training. Don't complain about
it.
Don't
complain. You just be positive. Know the journey. If you look at the long term, you'll be like, this is completely worth it. Like the guys I've been with, the way I learned photography is completely from art. Sogalo is like heaven sent. A different story with the way I learned photography. The guys I learned from were complete assholes. Like imagine a guy tells me my photo is shit just because I've taken a better photo than his. So I feel bad, and later on he uses my photo as his portfolio.
So I've seen actually there was a time I had a very also similar painful experience working at a particular studio.
Yeah.
And you start wondering, it's like I'm doing my best to profit this organization. Why is the owner of the organization
like fighting
me? I'm an employee here. Because these suggestions I'm making and this work I'm doing, it's almost extra outside what I'm supposed to be doing. I've already finished what I'm supposed to be doing. So I am thinking that I am a good person by helping this, but it's not that way. They actually, sometimes some people take it personally. Like that rule from Robert Greene about you should never outshine the master. It's the one mistake almost
everyone makes. And it's better you learn it
early. You learn it early.
So like I was saying, the question you ask yourself, like, what are you here for? I was there for learning photography. I was there for this guy's skills. He was an asshole, but he was the best at the particular time or environment I was at. Like in Eldoret, like guys are lazy in Eldoret. Guys, I've been telling you, because I'm the biggest photographer in Eldoret. Do you know? I was back before I came to Nai. Did you know me? Exactly. Because those guys are so low level. I had to come to Nairobi to upgrade.
You're only as good as your competition.
Exactly. So learning from a guy like the first guy from Eldoret, I had to start. I was from scratch. Like I didn't know how to change the exposure. I didn't know how to white balance. Like I take a photo and it's green, and I have to like go find him, ask him why is it green? Tells me it's the white balance. Then I forget and learn again. It was a whole process. But then after I learned what I needed, and I saw that I could not learn anything more from him, you move on. That's when you cut ties, because the why is complete. And you move on. You find someone else, even if it's an asshole. Practicality. You look at what you need versus, and you look at what you need to get and what it takes for you to get it. Is what you want to get worth what it takes? If the answer is yes, unakunja shati unalima, because
it makes sense. It's like a sacrifice you're making. It's like you're putting money in a savings account or buying shares. You're thinking about it long term.
It will pay off. And that's the purpose of being a human, having like cognitive process. Like you have to plan. That's the only way you can like we separate ourselves from animals. Like just drifting versus you actually know why you're doing something for.
It's not instinct. You're just not migrating because your instincts tell you should be moving. You know why. You know exactly why.
And the instinct is what pushes you to run away from that, because it's the fear DNA. If it hurts, you bail. You just, I'm gone. I don't want any of this. But if you are able to actually evolve, utilize that situation to grow, and by that I feel that's the purpose of the like existence. I actually was talking about this with Sogalo the other day. Like, you've heard people say this, like, why would you go after 1 million, and after that you'll want 2 million, and then 3 million, then 20, and then 100. You'll never be satisfied. That you should be content with what you have and live a good life. I completely disagree, because the purpose of existence is getting better. When you wake up, you have to get better at something. Try. When a child is born, they know completely nothing. They're just fragile. They have to depend completely on other people, their parents, their environment, and all that. So they have to learn everything from the process. You see, it's completely natural. So why stop that when you're an adult? Why conform? It's life. It's supposed to be growth. A child.
The only thing that's constant is the change. Yeah,
exactly. So just because your body gets to a point and starts deteriorating, why should your mind? The mind should continue growing, evolving,
because it's always kind of young. It's always young, depending on how you use it.
Yeah, exactly. But there are some the brain cells don't die. Like they just regenerate, and like it's the rest of the body that dies around it. So brain, like in terms of especially the brain is elastic. It's just a muscle. The more you stretch it, the stronger it will be. The more you'll evolve. The more.
As in almost it can change shape physically, kind of.
And
it's just like theory.
I think
the wiring.
It's the internal wiring, like the neurons.
But doesn't it
electrons,
because of blood supply to certain parts more? Wouldn't it like bulge in one side more than
but not necessarily like in that anatomic way. It's like when you have a thought in your brain, there's like a spark of energy that like
goes there. It's like a wire was connected.
Yeah, for neurons. So sensory neurons, they're like my X-ray. Like if they MRI, they do an MRI of your brain. That's how. So if you think this part of your brain
that lights up.
Yeah. So every time you have a new thought, a new like a neuronic path is made, and that's the elasticity. It's a completely a web that starts with one line, then it becomes a triangle, then it becomes a hexagon, then it just keeps growing. So imagine there's no limit to the possibility, but there are guys who are just
one wire.
Exactly. So the stretching is the thinking of different ways, like moving from photography to film. Things you never thought about, like the way you feel like you know about the way David Fincher hijacks your eyes.
The way he moves the camera with the slight movements with the motion of the actors.
Exactly.
It's impressive.
The intention and the thought process that went behind that is not the same level of intention and thought process that goes to photography, because it's a bigger project, a whole different. So your brain just creates whole new connections for that whole thing. So
Edgar Wright does the same thing. You should check this out. Edgar Wright, actually, there's a series called Spaced. It's one of his earliest work, I think in 1999, 2000, before he went into movies. I was actually recommending it also to Sogalo, because he has a way of editing it in a funny way, with camera movements and whatnot, to show the story, how it's moving along. And he did that, I think, with one camera.
Wow.
With one camera. You should check him out, Edgar Wright.
Definitely, yeah.
But we're also saying that, there's this Australian Malaysian monk who goes around the world talking about how people can focus. His name is... I'll remember it. I'll probably put it in the show notes or mention it later.
Yeah.
But he has 3 stripes on his forehead. That's like his do.
Yeah.
And he was saying, like, think about the most recent wedding you've been to. So you've remembered it.
Yeah.
Now think about the most recent funeral you've been to.
Yeah.
Think about that funeral. Think about who you met there. Now think about what you ate for breakfast this morning.
Yeah.
Now we've moved from a wedding you've been to a funeral to what you ate breakfast this morning. And when you are thinking about the breakfast, you are actually not thinking about the funeral.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what happens is that all these things are already in your head. That's what he was trying to explain.
Yeah.
What moves around is not the ideas.
Yeah.
What moves around is the awareness. It's like awareness is a torch.
Yeah.
So you're in a dark place. Where you point it is what you see, and everything else remains dark. Isn't it something that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, actually, that's you've like explained the concept I was talking about the subconscious and the conscious. So like this subconscious is like storage, data storage. It has a lot of information that you put in, and then the conscious mind is like a torch viewing. So what you view is what you will think about at the moment, and then the
conscious mind is the one. So you have to train it to
concentrate.
Concentrate on the what is proper at this moment.
Yeah.
So the subconscious is almost like a library.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like
but it must be one confusing library because it must be huge.
It's crazy.
So if you're walking around, you don't know which corridor has what you're looking for. You end up going into rabbit holes, things you didn't want to remember or things you didn't want to experience. But once you get to where you want to be, you kind of drop breadcrumbs.
Yeah, for next time.
So that you can make it easier.
Yes, like if you're in town, you go to a place, you'll never forget that place. You'll always know where that place is. That's how it works. And I would dare want to say, there's this like in line with the same what the guy said about like concentrating. I believe anyone has the capacity to have like a crazy level, let me say advanced high level of like memory. Like I usually remember a lot, like visually. That's how my brain works. I don't remember the words. Like I'd remember this scene right here, but I don't with blank words. So I remember like almost every encounter I've ever had. I usually tell people stories of the first time I met them, like 10 years later, and they're like, "How can you even remember that?" And then I'm like, I remember everything else after that. So it's not because I usually think about that. I usually, when I sit down, I just stay in this daydream, but it's thinking about that specific moment. I recapture it, replay it, and then another time I'll think about it again and think about it again. So it got to a time it just became a natural thing. So I just remember.
It's a habit you've built because one of the big problems people have is the continuous loop of negative emotions.
Yeah.
They are constantly negative emotions and they are putting themselves in states of what you'd call depression.
Yeah.
But but it almost seems like you can do the same thing with things that work.
Yeah.
As in, it's not just like why is it like easier then? Is it easier or is it just more common for people to get lost in the negative loop?
I wouldn't say it's the ease. It's actually the difficulty of getting out of the loop. That is the problem. Because if you've dug yourself into a 10-foot hole, you'll have to climb 10 feet to get out.
Wow.
So that's like negativity and positivity. If you had like a year of negativity, you have to work on a whole year of positivity to actually neutralize that. Then another year to build up on that.
Because at some point it's almost going to look stupid because you'll have to like just thump and stuff. Yeah, and as in you have to be very deliberate in how you do it. It's not going to be something silent in your head.
Yeah, it has to be completely deliberate, and it's hard work. It's not something simple because negativity, like it roots into you. Like if, for example, you imagine your childhood, your parents were like discouraging you, your teachers discouraging you, get to campus discouragement, you get a girlfriend who's discouraging you, your kids discourage you. Midlife crisis, a guy hangs himself. Because it's a whole process with that and you're wondering why. But like for my case, I've had a lot of negativity. If you know me, SOS, this guy, like a teacher was on a mission to destroy my life. That's what the teacher was doing. And of course, it was justified because the more he pushed, the more I pushed because I was crazy. But my life in primary was just
maddening.
Yeah. Especially in terms of the with the teachers. I'd get beaten all the time. I'd get blamed for things I've not done. Anything that's has been done that's wrong in that class, the teachers are like, it's him. Then get my ass whooped.
They're taking a shortcut. They're not doing an investigation.
Yeah,
It's like,
this is the bad one. This is the bad egg. Makad, it was the craziest one. Imagine teachers I went to the phone to school, and we had this phone. This video. The first time "Bend Over" the song came out, so Jamaica the video and all that. So it was my brother's phone, and he was in high school. In high school, I was in primary. I have his phone. After we were crazy, we were kids. We've never seen anything like this. So I'm playing it for the kids, and we're surrounding, and it's crazy. We were mad. Bend over. So it's of course the taboo. You're not supposed to see things like that. So we were scared.
Shamaranks.
Yeah. Yeah. So imagine, the phone was caught. The teachers found the phone. They say we're watching something wrong. So I felt guilty, and I'm like, yes, we're watching something wrong, and I should not have done that. So I won't do that. But what the teacher goes further, and he says that there were browser histories for porn sites on the phone. So I was showing the other kids porn. I was like, what is browser history, first of all? I'm just a kid. I don't know anything about that. And then I became the class 8 kid who's watching porn with the whole class. So this is what I went through. But what...
As in, if you look at it from where I stand, you could flip that.
Yeah,
you could flip that and make it a really cool story.
That's exactly what I did. That's exactly what happened. Because imagine how the teachers will treat you. Firstly, Ukinga staff room, you're the worst guy. The fun teachers will definitely make fun of you, but the strict Christian teachers who are just I will beat the demon out of you.
They don't even drink tea. It's too
yeah. So those ones there, you get your ass whooped all the time. If you're in trouble, it's colossal. It's not you one teacher disciplines you and you go. It's the whole room every single time. And I didn't even do the first thing, so it was a nightmare. But I go back to class and I'm like, the guy who brought porn to school, so I was the G.
The G, the plug.
Yeah, that's how it has. And you see how you can turn something negative into positive.
Yeah.
And that's how I survived trauma, because I'd have crazy amounts of trauma from being tormented by teachers. But I turn it around. This is the time I was caught for stealing. Air quotes for you. Out you guys. So this guy, this teacher who hates me, finds me. What he does, we in SOS, all SOS students know this. You line up when the bell rings for going home. Every person lines up outside the class. You have to wait till the line is done, then you go according to your classes. So class 8s are not in the line because they're class 8s and they go. Class 7s you start, then class 1, just that way. So I was kneeling at the place where all of them will pass. And the teacher wanted me to be embarrassed that I'm a class 7 being punished and made to kneel in front of all of them. So it would be some depressing thing. I'd never show my face. But what do? I was there making faces at kids when they pass. So everyone's laughing. I just go ham on it. So many faces. I diss people. I wink at girls and all that. I'm just having fun. And then the teacher's happy that these guys are laughing. Then he looks at me. I brood.
Hey, man, just take his soul. Just take his soul. His soul is gone because the only thing he can do now is be physical.
So I imagine he didn't actually he didn't see me. He looks at me and I brood. Just watching him I'm sad. I even fake a tear. I'm just then
play act.
The kids notice and they laugh even more. So it's I'm winning, but in real sense, the legend of Caleb Baraka.
Porn star in private. Nimekuwa nikidinyana tangu class 2.
Yeah. So I guess I was lucky because of my personality to get away with
because really that's so important. I think it's also very instrumental, even personally for me, because you have to ask yourself, at some point, that voice of other people and all these things they've done to you and said to you in the past, it's almost like you replay it so long until it becomes your own.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
It becomes your own, and now those negative thoughts turn into like pessimism, and then that pessimism is mistaken for rationality.
Yeah.
When you start arguing yourself out of particular decisions you've made.
Yeah.
And you do this constantly over and over.
And the worst thing about that is that through that process, you become the next person who destroys someone's creativity and discourages them. That's how it happens. It's so subconscious. Like you have so much negativity in you that when you find someone who was like you get envious and you end up
sabotaging.
Exactly. The same way you were sabotaged. Instead of like actually letting that person be what you wanted, you're so deep in the negativity, you just have to pull this person down with you.
Because you're saying that the people who like sabotaged you in the past, they stood in your way or just made things difficult.
Yeah.
We had earlier spoken about all these things are just content. They're just training for you to be weeded out. Like,
exactly.
Like, as in, if you went through that and you're creating now, you won.
Exactly.
Hakuna beef. You won. You got to the other side. You're still here. Ni kama Morpheus. Morpheus speech. I hate that movie, kwanza. The second Matrix. Ilikuwa Reloaded.
Yeah, I think so.
The second Matrix, what happens is that Morpheus is giving a speech to the people, and the people are a bit discouraged about the future because it's this rumor, their location has been spotted and whatnot. But Morpheus reminds them, we've been fighting this war for over 100 years, my friends.
Yeah.
And we are still here.
Yeah.
As in, if that doesn't piss them off at some point or give you encouragement, I don't know what is. As in, we've been pulling this fight for this long.
100, that's a long time. It means you're a powerful force.
Yeah.
That's how it is. And but then mnajua hawa sasa wenye wako na like story mingi za kusema noma is this me KWB. Like it's usually the experiences. The negative experiences when you passed it and you look back at it with positivity. It's funny, it's comic. Ask Kevin Hart, ask anyone, any comedian. It's usually the worst and like the most heartful of stories that once you tell it, because you're telling it from a point of so much positivity that it's humorous. It's so funny. You're like, my whole life.
Because if you can laugh at it,
so
and just narrate it as if it's nothing. Because that's one of the things that you're a fan of stand-up comedy.
Big time, yeah.
You've seen what's happening with stand-up comedy, mostly like in Western countries. I think it's so there are so many topics you can't joke about. Like now Dave Chappelle talking about his like there was a transgender friend of his.
So it's become a thing.
Now they're forcing him to be cancelled and whatnot. And it's like he's taking tragedy and trying to almost be an alchemist. Yeah. Create something even the friend who passed away would laugh at.
Yeah.
Would laugh at and enjoy it. But people don't seem to see that. It's like now it's popular to be negative.
Yeah, that's the thing about like the world we live in right now, commercialism and like so the negativity. You're easier to sell to when you're negative than when you're positive because you're reactive. And when you're positive, you go after what you need and what you want rather than what like you like it's progressive versus like you're running away, you're fighting. It's like addiction. When it's addiction, it's like you don't have control. But when you're positive and you're working towards something, you will make right choices about what you want to buy and what you need according best to your own situation.
Because the alcohol could be in control of you, or you could just be having a good time with the alcohol. Yeah,
there's there's a big difference. So the alcoholic might have like really tough situations, so he's trying to run away, and that's where they want you because they'll sell you way more alcohol than you actually should be consuming. rather than you're just drinking for the fun. And why are you drinking? Like maybe for a win because of work. You have to get back to work. So if you go harm on that one day because you're having fun, you go back to work. It's a balance. Yeah, rather than
because there's actually a time. There's actually a time I actually do feel like a strong urge just to go have a drink with some people. And you don't know exactly why you want to have that drink. Yeah. But on other days, you find yourself, you've been like, you haven't touched alcohol for a month, 2 months, 3 months. You've just been working on stuff. And just one day, you just buy a bottle, come home and flatline. Yeah. Proper. Because there's no guilt in the morning. You're just like, fuck it. I decided to do it. Yeah. So you're saying you actually, it's, why am I here? You know why you are here and you're positive about it and you just go for it. Yeah. It's the conscious mind. And if you it's a process to get there, of course, but the more the higher you are at it in whichever levels, you're like the better you are at it. You'll be more precise. Kind of like the journey, I don't think it ever ends. It's a lifelong journey. Imagine how far humanity would be at if every single human being was working to improve themselves till the day they die. Imagine you're stacking a card on top of another for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 100 years. What kind of tower can you get? So we're about the continuity, never stopping. The tower might change shape, equal bigger, but the point is never stop building. And at the end of your life, when you look back and when others look at what you've done, itakuwa amazing. Yeah. And look at, by the Robert Greene says that there's what we call genius is actually mastery. And what is mastery? It's work on work on work on work and again. I'll have to reread that book because I loved that book. I love that book. I'll reread it. My friend, why inaonekana tunaweza ongea na wewe hapa paka next year. We can talk till next year. Is there something you're working on you'd like to tell people about? Okay, this year we're working on the message. The message is the movement of consciousness through time. And it's a big project. We're going to use a lot of media. From photography, we're using poetry, we'll be rapping, we'll be... we will do a short film and exhibitions, art. We just tunatumia a lot of medium, working with a lot of creatives, and what we're trying to revive people's consciousness especially in terms of culture, because it's not about the thing, it's about the why. Ndio ukikuwa na souvenir when nayo home, the souvenir itself is not important. It's what it represents. Yeah. That's why it's valuable. Unaweza kuwa tuna a button, but what that button represents is what you value. Yeah. And that is culture. Yeah. And that's what we're trying to give to people. And on another note, we're on a mission, KWB and Sogalo, to change the hip-hop scene of Kenya. That's also part of the message. We're trying to show people the potential. The same line here, like where you want to get to in the long run. Unataka uende 10 meters, ama unataka ukimbia the full 100 meters. Yeah. We're trying to get to the 100 meters all the way, and it's not about the speed, it's about the quality of the run. Yeah. Nivo. So it's going to be a great journey and mind-blowing. So I'm looking forward to it. Kwanza nini, in terms of me, I'm grateful that you've showed up. I can imagine some places where we can collaborate ourselves. Me, you, Sogalo, Native Nariobi. We have a lot in common along what we are doing artistically and the stories we are doing. So I'm looking forward to that. And even for people who are listening right now, if you'd like to learn more about Faces of Art, you can go to the website seguepictures.com, SEGUE pictures.com. And the homepage is a place where you can slot in your email. You can get in touch with us if you want to do a collaboration, probably with KWB over here, or anybody else on the Faces of Art podcast, or you'd like to participate and give us opinions or some positive criticism, like our friend Mule mwenye ametu educate on how we can improve on the website. Hapa pale. Bana. We are very grateful. Also, if you're pissed at something, you can also tell us. You're paying us idea. We're big boys here. We're big boys. We don't get offended. Tell us.
We're about the growth. That's what we're talking about.
So
Oh yeah, and if
KWB.
my if you need to contact me, the brands you can get me through CW Media. That's my photography brand. There's Buwanga. That's a BWANGA. Buwanga. That means the light in Abaluya.
Kwisha maneno.
And also Afro Renaissance. I'm part of the Afro Renaissance collective. Yes. We know some of you guys are trying to use the name, but Afro Renaissance collective will always be the G's. Yani, that is us.
So thank you very much. And Faces of Art. Out.